you grew up in the 80s, you'll definitely remember cartoons like the Smurfs, He-Man, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Transformers. The 90s also have fondly remembered shows like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Ren and Stimpy, DuckTales, and Batman the Animated Series. Of course, not all animation from either decade is so well remembered. Some were lost to time because they weren't very good in the eyes of most. Others were only relevant to a particular time and place, and some deserve more recognition and credit, but somehow never seem to get mentioned. Animated science fiction comedy series Inspector Gadget aired its pilot in syndication on December 4th, 1982. It originally ran from 1983 to 1985, broadcasting 86 episodes over 2 seasons. Inspector Gadget, the main protagonist and titular character of the series, is a famous cyborg policeman with a seemingly endless amount of gadgets he can summon by saying, "Go go Gadget," and then the gadget's name. The clueless Gadget frequently bungles during his cases and gets into danger, but he always gets out of trouble through either his trusty gadgets, his niece Penny, or her dog Brain's unseen assistance, or pure luck. While he would never succeed in completing a mission by himself without Penny and Brain, they usually would not succeed in completing a mission themselves without Inspector Gadget and his gadgets unintentionally foiling the mad organization's plans led by the evil Dr. Claw. The Get Along Gang is a franchise which began in 1983 with a series of greeting cards for American Greetings' toy design and licensing division, Those Characters from Cleveland. The TV series features a group of 6 pre-adolescent anthropomorphic animal characters in the fictional town of Green Meadow, who form a club that meets in an abandoned caboose, and who have various adventures whose upbeat stories were intended to show the importance of teamwork and friendship. Canadian studio Nelvana, in association with Scholastic Entertainment, Those Characters from Cleveland, and LBS, produced a pilot episode which was broadcast on Nickelodeon on May 6, 1984. After the pilot episode, production of the series was handed over to DIC Audiovisual, a French animation studio. The show was then taken off Nickelodeon and moved to CBS. 13 half-hour episodes were produced, each containing 2 11-minute segments. As with the pilot, the focus was on the 6 core members of the gang, with the other 6 members making very sporadic appearances. The Get Along Gang lasted for only 1 season of 13 episodes in the 1984-1985 season. Rainbow Brite also has a greeting card background, as the character first appeared on Hallmark greeting cards in 1983. The Rainbow Brite TV series then kicked off the following year in syndication and continued until 1986, beginning with a slew of TV specials. It follows a girl named Wisp, who, along with her friends Twink, a furry creature called a sprite, and Starlight, a horse, helps bring color back to a dark and gloomy world. After she succeeds in freeing the Color Kids from the King of Shadows, Wisp is renamed Rainbow Brite as she heads out on the next stops in her adventure. The character's Technicolor look, which features striped sleeves and boots, lots of stars, and an arching rainbow on her dress, became forever iconic. The series was also adapted into the 1985 movie Rainbow Brite and the Star Stealer. After the show was canceled, it found more fans as it was released on VHS. The character was also ubiquitous on merch, covering everything from books and albums to bedsheets and birthday cakes, and was, for a time, Mattel's top-selling toy. The 70s might have been all about the Muppets, but the 80s were seemingly dominated by the Muppet Babies, especially for kids growing up at the time. The show imagined a kid-friendly version of the Muppets, showing their nursery-bound exploits while under the care of their ever-absent nanny. The show aired from September 15, 1984 to November 2, 1991, as part of the Saturday morning cartoons lineup on CBS. The show's main focus was imagination, with the babies constantly trying to right minor wrongs using their own creativity. It starred baby versions of some of the most famous Muppets around, like Miss Piggy, Kermit the Frog, Rolf the Dog, and Animal. It spawned successful merchandise and won multiple Daytime Emmy Awards. Due to its popularity, the show remained on television in the United States for a decade. The Raccoons is a Canadian animated television series that ran on CBS from November 11, 1985 to March 19, 1991 in Canada, and on Disney Channel from July 4, 1985 to August 28, 1992 in the US, with 3 preceding television specials from its inception in 1980 and 1 direct-to-video special in 1984. The show followed the same characters from the specials. There was Bert Raccoon, who was the hero of the series and the best friend of Ralph and Melissa Raccoon, the married couple he lives with. The focus of the series mostly involved Bert, Ralph, and Melissa's efforts against the industrial forces of greedy aardvark millionaire Cyril Sneer, who regularly tries to destroy the forest for personal wealth. However, the Raccoons always save their forest from Cyril's schemes, with help from their friends, including Schaefer, an old English sheepdog, Cedric, Cyril's adult son, and Bert's best friend, and Sophia Tutu, Cedric's girlfriend. The pigs, Cyril's henchmen, also appear throughout the series. While Cyril starts off as a villain, as the series goes on, he softens but keeps his greedy nature. While he loves money, he has a deep love for his son, and even a soft spot for the niece and nephew of Ralph Raccoon. One of the most endearing aspects of the show was the music, which featured a new wave soundtrack, including the theme song of Run With Us, performed by Lisa Lougheed. The first season actually ended with a different version of the song that was not performed by Lisa, but later seasons would be recorded by her. The songs were enough a part of the fabric of the show that an album would be released called Lake Freeze, the Raccoons soundtrack, in 1983. A soundtrack album was also released after the fourth special. During the show's run, it would be nominated for several Gemini Awards, including for Best Sound and Best Writing. It would also win the Gemini Award for Best Animated Series. Over the course of the show, episodes were broadcast in 180 countries across the globe. American-Canadian animated television series Star Wars Ewoks, featuring the Ewok characters introduced in the 1983 sci-fi fantasy film Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, aired for 2 seasons between 1985 and 1986. The series was produced by Nelvana on behalf of Lucasfilm and broadcast on ABC, both by itself and later as part of the Ewoks and Droids Adventure Hour. The first season was advertised as simply Ewoks, but the second season was advertised as the all-new Ewoks. The series focuses on the adventures of Wicket W. Warwick and his friends on the forest moon of Endor during the years before the events in Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Unlike the films, the characters speak English instead of their native language. Adventures of the Gummy Bears aired in the US in the mid-1980s through the early 1990s. The series is the first animated production by Walt Disney Animation Television and loosely inspired by gummy bear candies. Disney CEO Michael Eisner was struck with inspiration for the show when his son requested the candies one day. It premiered on NBC on September 14, 1985, and aired there for 4 seasons. The series moved to ABC for 1 season from 1989 to 1990 as a part of Disney's Gummy Bears / Winnie the Pooh Hour, in which it would be paired with The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and concluded on September 6, 1991, as part of the Disney Afternoon. The series focuses on the escapades of the eponymous gummy bears, anthropomorphic bears who are the last remnants of a once great civilization of gummies that fled the land centuries ago when humans, jealous of the advancements and magical skills of the gummy bears, forced the species into exile. Now regarded by most of humankind as fairy tales, the show's main cast of gummy bears live in the vast subterranean warren of Gummy Glen in the medieval kingdom of Dunwin. Jem and the Holograms, also simply known as Jem, ran from 1985 to 1988 in US first-run syndication. The series was a joint collaboration by Hasbro, Marvel Productions, and Sunbow Productions, the same team responsible for G.I. Joe and Transformers. It revolves around Jerrica Benton, the owner and manager of Starlight Music, and her alter ego, Jem, lead singer of the rock group Jem and the Holograms. Jerrica adopts the persona of Jem with the help of a holographic computer known as Synergy. The computer was built by Jem's father and bequeathed to her after his death. Jem can sync it with her earrings to change her appearance and project realistic images around her. The group consists of Kimber Benton, Jerrica's younger sister, keyboardist and main songwriter for the band, Asian American guitarist Aja Leaf, and African American synth drummer Shayna Elmsford. Carmen Rhea Alonso becomes the band's new synth drummer after Shayna briefly leaves the group to pursue a career in fashion. Upon her return to Jem and the Holograms, Shayna then becomes the band's bassist. Regular themes seen throughout the show involved Jem's relationship with her sister Kimber, her relationship with the other band members, her love triangle between her real identity, her Jem persona, and her boyfriend, Rio Pacheco, and the various acts of charity and entertainment her band provides to the foundation and many other causes. This is often in direct contrast to rival band The Misfits, who constantly display malicious acts of destruction and mean-spiritedness in their constant bid to top the music charts, often putting other people's lives in danger just to get their way. The show was designed to cater primarily to girls, having a huge focus on fashions, music, and pop culture elements popular in the 1980s. However, it did have more action-oriented scenes to keep boys interested in the show as well. Darkwing Duck first ran from 1991 to 1992 on both the syndicated programming block, the Disney Afternoon, and Saturday mornings on ABC. It features the adventures of Darkwing Duck, who is the superheroic alter ego of ordinary suburban duck, Drake Mallard. Though it was originally thought by some fans to be a spin-off of the 1987 DuckTales series, creator Tad Stones has denied that it is a spin-off and actually takes place in a different universe. Despite this, supporting characters Launchpad McQuack and Gizmo Duck appear in both series in similar roles, and Scrooge McDuck is mentioned in a Darkwing Duck episode. The series tells the adventures of the titular superhero, aided by his sidekick and pilot, Launchpad McQuack. In his secret identity of Drake Mallard, he lives in an unassuming suburban house with his adopted daughter Goslin, next door to the dim-witted Muddlefoot family. Darkwing struggles to balance his egotistical craving for fame and attention against his desire to be a good father to Goslin and help do good in St. Canard. Babar, co-produced by Canadian animation studio Nelvana Limited and the Clifford Ross Company, premiered in 1989 on CBC in Canada and on HBO in the United States. The series is based on Jean de Brunhoff's original Babar books, the first of which was published in 1931. Before his death in 1937, Jean de Brunhoff published 6 more stories. His son, Laurent de Brunhoff, also a writer and illustrator, carried on the series from 1946. Babar, the series, was the first to be based on Jean de Brunhoff's original Babar books. Previously, 2 Babar specials were produced by Lee Mendelson and Bill Melendez for NBC, The Story of Babar, The Little Elephant in 1968, and Babar Comes to America in 1971. Based on the books by both father and son, the plot of the first 2 seasons focuses on the story of Babar's childhood, as it is told by him to his children. The past Babar is a young elephant who, traumatized by a hunter slaughtering his mother, flees from his home forest in exile to the city, where a kind old lady adopts him and teaches him the ways of human life. He returns to his home forest full of ideas for progress, and following the previous Elephant King's death from eating poisonous mushrooms, hatches a plan to drive out the unnamed hunter and his men. For his heroism, Babar is crowned King of the Elephants, plans and builds Celestville, and grows up to become a father himself.